good do we think Taylor McCarr is going to become in the NHL? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Pucked Up Podcast. I'm Chris, hosting this week, joined by D, Danger, and Maul. We got the whole squad this week. D has come back because we did a lot of begging and crying because we couldn't do it without her.
I mean, Chris did a lot of crying.
It wasn't a lot. It was a moderate amount, and you don't gotta call me out like that.
Oh, wait, the crying wasn't because D wasn't here. I forgot.
The crying is always something else. You know, listen, I'm an emotional guy sometimes.
Which is fair.
I cry because
guys can cry too. Hashtag real men cry. Real tears.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the fake shit.
No, I cry big boy tears. I fill a bucket. Anywho.
I believe it.
I believe it. We have a lot of good stuff for you this week. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe. And let us know which one of the four of us is your favorite.
Oh, let's not. Absolutely, under no circumstances is that a good idea.
Because I hope it's not me. I should never be anyone's favorite, because then I know everyone has a bad judge of character.
No, that's not fair to yourself. You are a great guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Stop it.
As
You're
the
make
most
my hair
spoonable member of the cast.
It's true.
See?
Most spoonable.
I
Voted 4 years running, most spoonable.
Yeah.
Exactly. Listen,
it's a landslide vote too. There's no one else even close.
I have been told I am the perfect cuddle
Dave
size.
May argue with that.
Yeah.
But we're also the same height, so
yeah, I'm also like a little teddy bear. I know. Danger and I are like the tiny ass ones here.
yeah. We are for Dave's brother's birthday last month. He literally, sent him a happy birthday message, and he goes, "From me and the halfling."
The halfling.
Motherfucker. You motherfucker.
That's
just because
funny.
we're playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
D, seeing as
yes,
I tried my best to make you proud last week, I'm going to hand the PWHL back over to its rightful place and being spoken about by you.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you so much, Chris. Well, I actually have some really exciting news coming out of the PWHL this week. Not just, our typical 3 stars and player safety, though. We will get to that. There is some hot player safety news coming your way in just a minute. But there is the first ever ready-to-wear collection designed by the Police Collective. Peace Collective. Wow, I can't even speak words. It is a collaboration, a 3-way collaboration between Barbie, the Peace Collective, and the PWHL.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the first time that we're really seeing Barbie merchandise for sale with the PWHL, and it's really, really cool. There are, I believe it is 9 pieces in this collection. They say that it embodies the statement on owning one's power, rewriting the rules, and supporting the next generation of game changers. In this collection, you will find rugby shirts, sweatsuits, a varsity jacket, and hats as well, all bearing the symbolic colors of PWHL's purple and the iconic Barbie pink, with graphics inspired by the vintage hockey jersey. They said the evolution of Barbie embraces any change maker, inclusive of those redefining the professional sports league in hockey. This unique collaboration marks a significant moment for Barbie, a brand that shares PWHL's vision for breaking barriers in any respective field, which is a marker of which this collaboration is built and something we're deeply proud of, says Jennifer Delano, head of licensing at Mattel Canada. This is really cool. It's all available for pre-order on the PWHL site right now. So if you go to thepwhl.com, you can shop either their Canadian or US store to order a piece. I will say, as excited as I am for this collection, and I genuinely am so excited, I just have to give one little piece of feedback to the PWHL, and that is you really need to be making your merch more size inclusive. Much of this stops at a double XL, which is not even hitting plus size. That is still in standard size clothing. So you are missing out on a huge market of women that would love to be able to wear this merch and to support it proudly, but will only be able to buy a hat. And as cool as the hats are, because I'm definitely thinking of ordering one myself, there's a really dope purple one that says Barbie and PWHL and all that on it. I think your fans deserve more than just hats. And so I know that part of that is because the Peace Collective isn't as size inclusive as a brand. And so I really, really hope that as you go forward finding merch partners, that you're pushing them for size inclusivity, which includes 1X, 2X, 3X, and beyond. It's just something that like we have been pushing for the NHL to do that as well, and they have gotten a lot better with their sizes for men and women. But for the PWHL, you guys are such a new group, and you guys have the power to say, hey, we should be including all fans in our merch demographics. And so as sick as this collection is, and it's so sick, and I can't wait to see it sell out the second it goes live for outside of pre-order. Just something to think about as you move forward through the next selection of your next merch drop. Just my little side note. But it is really, really dope. If you haven't seen again, go to the PWHL website. The Letterman jacket, it is pricey at $280, but it is so sick.
It's very
like
cool.
It is dope as shit. It is
It
so
looks
cool.
super retro.
Yeah. The whole collection does. It's very vintage, like Ivy College sports.
Very
if that
70s,
makes sense. If that gives you a
80s.
visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so sick.
Which we love.
So yeah, very excited about that. We also have let's kick it over to the update on the Takeover Tour. The last episode of the Takeover Tour was recently. They were it was the Ottawa why can't I think of their name?
Charge.
The Ottawa Charge versus the Boston Fleet this past Saturday. The Ottawa Charge won. They had a goal in Venesova herself, had a goal twice in 32 seconds, which is insane. That would happen that quickly. And they were in St. Louis at Enterprise Center. And with this, Ottawa leapfrogs Minnesota to take hold of the fourth and final playoff spot for the first time in nearly 2 months, as the playoff race continues with 4 games left for all 6 PWHL teams this season. With that, we have a couple of numbers for you. The PWHL Takeover Tour welcomed a total of 123,061 fans across 9 stops this season. At St. Louis, they had 8,578 in attendance, which is a record for professional women's hockey in the state of Missouri, surpassing the previous high of, and hold your hats when I say this number, the previous high was at a PWHPA game, and it was 2,500 fans in 2021 at Enterprise Center. So in just 4 short years, they have quadrupled the amount of attendance.
That's nuts.
For women's hockey. That is insane.
Wow.
And I think that just really speaks to how much people really do want women's hockey. Not just in the popular states, but in states like Missouri, which is, I mean, overlooked even in regular hockey markets as well.
Which it's crazy because of how rabid fucking Blues fans are. They're loyal as shit.
Yeah.
So, if they have another team to cheer for, those Blues fans are going to go crazy for a PWHL team.
Yeah. So very, very cool. Very exciting. We have next a player safety announcement. We actually have 2 player safety announcements. And this came out on March 29th. The Women's Hockey League has announced that after 2 separate reviews by the PWHL Player Safety Committee, Boston Fleet forward Kelly Babstock has been suspended for 2 games. And Montreal Victoires defender Aaron Ambrose has been fined $250, each following incidents in games played on March 26. Babstock was assessed a match penalty for slew-footing at 19:57 of the 3rd period in Wednesday's game against Toronto. The Player Safety Committee determined that Babstock used her upper and lower body simultaneously to drive Scepter's forward Jessie Comfort backwards, causing her to fall dangerously to the ice. Babstock was previously assessed a 1-game suspension this season for a cross-checking incident on January 2nd against Minnesota. They did release a video explanation, so if you are interested in that, go check that out. But she has been suspended for 2 games because of that. And when you're just down to 4 games left in the season, that's really detrimental to your team to be missing that much time.
Yeah.
For Ambrose, the incident occurred at 4:46 of the first period in Wednesday's game against Minnesota. The Player Safety Committee determined that she illegally used her stick to cross-check opponent Denisa Krysova in the shoulders, which rode up towards her head and did go unpenalized during the game. This is the first time that Ambrose has been fined in her PWHL career. So again, shout out to the PWHL for maintaining player safety, taking checks to the head serious, and taking slew footing very serious. A 2-game suspension is big news.
My biggest issue there is you have 3 seconds left in the fucking game. Why are you slew footing people? And like,
it was on a draw at the dot. So I guess she was hoping to get puck. I don't know, but yeah, 3 seconds is crazy.
Just like, you have 3 seconds left in the game. What the fuck are you doing? Just let the puck go. The game is over at that point. Like, and you've already been suspended once this season. Like, haven't you learned your lesson?
Right. Yeah.
Pretty soon we're gonna start calling her the PWHL Nick Cousins.
Yeah, or Matt Rempe, or Matt Rempe. We got a few names we could pull out. But yeah, Kelly needs to get it together.
You figure it the fuck out, bro.
Yeah. You are fucking up your team right now. So
yeah,
maybe stop.
Maybe stop.
With that, let us jump into the best segment of the PWHL segments, which is the Shark Beauty Canada presents the 3 stars of the week. Shout out to Shark Beauty in Canada only, because the US said get fucked. I don't know.
Apparently.
Likely. Apparently. All right. So this week, our 3rd star is none other than Daryl Watts, who is a forward for the Toronto Scepters. Watts scored half of her team's 6 goals last week, collecting 2 in Toronto's 4-2 victory at Boston on Wednesday and 1 in Sunday's 5-2 loss at Minnesota. The Boston contest marked Watts' 3rd game of 2 goals this season. Only Poulin with 4 has more. One of her goals at Boston was scored on the power play, Watts' 4th such goal this season, tied with 5 others for the PWHL lead. With 8 power play assists, Watts is the 3rd in the league behind teammates Miller with 9 and Fast with 11. And her 93 shot trails only the 95 by Boston's Hillary Knight and the 98 by Stacy. On Sunday, Watts pulled the Scepters within 4-2 with 12:25 remaining in regulation before Minnesota's Taylor Heisey scored her 2nd goal of the game to crush the comeback with 5:44 to play. Watts has points in 5 of her past 6 games, collecting 5 goals, 3 assists, and 20 shots in that span, and a league-leading 8 multi-point games for the season. Our 2nd star is Teresa Venesova, a forward for the Ottawa Charge. Venesova followed last week's 1st Star of the Week honors with a history-making performance on Saturday in Ottawa's 2-1 takeover tour triumph over Boston at Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Before 8,578 fans, a record crowd for professional women's hockey in Missouri, Venesova scored twice in 32 seconds, the fastest 2 goals by the same player in PWHL history. By scoring at 16:26 and 16:58 of the 3rd period, Venesova helped the Charge rally for a hugely important victory to remain in the thick of the playoff hunt, entering into Wednesday's critical game in Boston. Her performance knocked 17 seconds off the prior mark for 2 fastest goals, which was done by Boston's Susanna Tapani. And Venesova also had an assist in Tuesday's 6-3 loss to the Sirens. She set up Brianne Jenner for the goal that gave the Charge a 3-0 lead with 4:02 left in the 2nd period before New York roared back with 6 consecutive scores in the 3rd period. What an insane period of hockey. With 15 goals and 5 assists, Venesova has nearly doubled last season's point total. She leads Ottawa in goals and points and is tied with Stacy for 10th overall amongst the PWHL's scoring leaders. Which brings us to our 1st star this week, teammate Laura Stacy. Well, not teammate, but I think they were last year. Anyway, Stacy became just the 5th player in PWHL history to record 4 points in a game when she collected 2 goals and 2 assists in Montreal's 4-1 victory over Minnesota on Wednesday. Her first multi-point goal of the game, or multi-goal game of the season, earns her 3 Stars of the Week recognition for the 3rd time in 5 weeks and places her alone in 2nd in PWHL 3 Stars for the Week standings. The 4 points marked her single best game of the season, surpassing the 1 goal, 2 assists she scored against Toronto on January 30th. Both of Stacy's assists set up goals by 3 Stars of the Week standings leader Marie-Philippe Poulin. The two have a combined 10 goals this season, the 3rd most by any duo in the PWHL. Stacey had her 4th power play goal of the season, tied with the 5 others for the league lead, and her 3rd game-winning goal. Each of those scores pushed Stacey past the last season total in these categories, and the 4-point game increased her season's total to 10 goals, 10 assists, surpassing last season's 10 and 8 record. With 98 shots on goal, Stacey leads the PWHL, and her plus 11 rating is tied for 3rd behind Toronto's Hannah Miller with 13 and Poulin with 15. And so for a quick status update, we do have, for the first time, I think this season since it began, a distinct 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We have Hillary Knight of Boston in 3rd with 70 points, Laura Stacey of Montreal in 2nd with 80 points, and Marie-Philippe Poulin of Montreal in 1st with 90 points. So just 20 points separating 1st from 3rd. Pretty nice to see this late in the season.
Again, I think Poulin is still my pick for MVP. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, she's killing it.
Pretty safe friggin' bet.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, but you aren't done as always.
I know.
You have the boys who also have 3 stars of the week.
I do have the boys who have the 3 stars of the week. If you're looking for our 3 stars of the month for the boys, you're going to have to check out social media because it's going to be on YouTube and TikTok for those items. So our 3rd star this week, which was, I guess I should tell you what the dates were, March 20th through the 30th. Our 3rd star is none other than goalie Connor Hellebuck for the Winnipeg Jets. Hellebuck went 3-0-0 with a 1.00 goals against average, a .961 save percentage, and 1 shutout to help the Jets reclaim 1st place in the overall NHL standings as they clinched their 3rd straight playoff berth. He denied 27 of 29 shots to lead Winnipeg to a 3-2 overtime win against the Washington Capitals on March 25th, and a battle of the league's top 2 teams. Hellebuck then made 24 saves to set a franchise record with the 7th shutout of the campaign in a 4-0 win over the New Jersey Devils. The reigning Vezina and William M. Jennings Trophy winner closed the week by stopping 23 shots, including all 18 he faced over the final 2 periods, in a 3-1 triumph versus the Vancouver Canucks. The 31-year-old Hellebuck has played in 57 total games this season, with a record of 43, 10, and 3, topping the NHL in wins with 43, goals against average with 2.01, save percentage with .925, and shutouts with 7. Our 2nd star is Roope Hintz, a center for the Dallas Stars. Great name. Hintz contributed multiple points in each of his 4 games, finishing 2nd in the league with 2 goals and 7 assists as the Stars clinched their 4th consecutive playoff berth, on the strength of a 5-game winning streak dating back to March 22nd. He compiled 5 assists over his first 2 appearances, picking up 2 helpers, and a 3-0 win against the Minnesota Wild, and 3 apples all in the 2nd period as part of Jason Robertson's natural hat trick, which natural hat tricks are crazy, and a 4-3 win against the Edmonton Oilers. Hintz followed that with 1 goal, 1 assist in each of his next 2 outings, a 5-2 victory over the Calgary Flames and a 5-1 victory over the Seattle Kraken, featuring his 200th career assist as well as his 7th game-winning goal of the campaign. The 28-year-old Hintz has produced 27 goals, 37 assists, through 67 total appearances this season, marking his 4th consecutive season with at least 60 points. And that brings us into our last but first star of the week, which is Nikita Kucherov, a right winger for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kucherov paced the NHL with 3 goals and 8 assists in 3 games to overtake the Colorado Avalanche center Nathan MacKinnon for the lead in the Art Ross Trophy race and lift the Lightning into 2nd place in the Atlantic Division via a perfect week. He notched 1 goal, 2 assists in his 13th 3-point performance of the campaign so far, and a 6-1 win against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Kucherov then registered consecutive 4-point games for the 6th time in his career, posting 1 goal, 3 assists in both an 8-0 win against the Utah Hockey Club.
There you go.
And a 5-3 win over the New York Islanders. The 31-year-old Kucherov, who has recorded at least 3 points in 3 straight games for the 4th time in his career and has accumulated 5 goals and 12 assists during an 8-game point streak dating back to March 15th, tops the league with 33 goals and 76 assists for 109 points through 69 nice total appearances this season. The reigning Art Ross Trophy winner also ranks amongst the 2004-2005 NHL leaders in power play assists, first with 33, power play points, first with 40, 3-point games, first with 15, assist, second with 76, not even close, 4-point games, second with 4. Game-winning goals, tied for second with 9. Even strength assists, tied for third with 43. Even strength points, third with 69. Nice. Multi-point games, tied for fourth with 29. Shots on goal, ninth with 238. And even
Jesus.
strength goals, tied for ninth with 26. And that's it for our stars.
Damn. Well,
Holy
I will
cow, what a
say,
week, huh?
if there is anyone
Right.
on the Dallas Stars that could score a natural hat trick, that I would believe it is Jason Robertson. So,
Mhm.
yeah, shout out to
And
Connor
how cool
Hellebuck,
for a
man.
natural hat trick to be supported with all 3 assists from the same guy, too. Like, that's
Yeah,
got to
I
be some
know.
kind of a fucking record, too. Like, the
It's
first
pretty
ever occurrence.
badass. It's pretty
Yeah.
badass. Yeah, and I obviously fantasy wise continue to reap the benefits of one Connor Hellebuck.
I know. Is that who
um,
you're protecting, Chris, by the way?
no, I have Austin Matthews, bro.
Oh, that's right.
Austin
That's
Matthews,
right. I
Leon
forgot about that.
Draisaitl, Sam Reinhart. I have plenty to choose from.
Yeah,
um,
that's fair.
Speaking of people who aren't exactly protected, um, there is someone we've discussed
What a
the
transition.
possibility of their employment continuing. And Maul,
Hmm.
you want to fill us in on probably the funniest thing in at least podcast related that happened over the past week.
So out of nowhere, John Tortorella was fired by the Flyers, and he's been quoted by the general manager.
Danny
Oh, how do you
Briere.
pronounce the last name? Danny Briere. That this is rock bottom. This is as low as it is going to go. So the Flyers, who are currently 29, 36, and 9, who lost their final 6 games under Tortorella of 0-5-1, are 1 point ahead of the Buffalo Sabres for last in the Eastern Conference, followed by a 7-2 loss by Toronto Maple Leafs, which, boy, that was a hell of a game to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on Tuesday. That was their 11th loss in 12 games, putting them at 1-10-1. Ouch. Tortorella
Yeah.
said, "I'm not really interested in learning how to coach in this type of season where we're at right now. I'm going to continue what we're doing, and we will focus on next season." Brer has said that this isn't what they need. They need to focus on
Mhm.
now. They need to do what they can to um, stay strong for the rest of the season, and he didn't feel like Tortorella could do that. So you're out of here, sucker.
Yeah.
What that caught? I feel like that news caught everyone by surprise. But what we've seen in
Disagree.
hockey is that's hockey. If you don't perform as a coach, you're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean,
Multiple
I
teams
think
have done it this season. You know.
I
there
feel
was
like
some sort of a massive altercation verbally between Cam York and John Tortorella the night before he got fired. And I don't think that
Yeah.
that was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
but
But I
that's a
think that it's
factor.
been building for a really long time. And I think that that kind of behavior, I mean, Torts has called out his own players and post game conferences a lot over the last couple of years, but definitely this season. And I think that maybe the GM is starting to be like, okay, so when we're losing by a lot and we suck real bad, maybe being like starting fights with players or publicly trashing them to the media isn't going to be what rallies the team.
No.
And I have
Yeah,
to imagine that that played a factor here.
and I know we've kind of talked about this in the past that there's kind of like the old guard versus the new guard, and Tortorella has been around for a long time, so
Uh-huh.
like where did I just say that? So he's been a coach for 23 seasons. He has
Mhm.
coached the New York Rangers, the Tampa Bay Lightnings, the Vancouver Canucks, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Flyers. His total record is 770 wins, 648 losses, and 37 ties. He is the 9th all-time in wins and second among United States-born coaches, behind Peter Laviolette,
Love
who
it.
is at
Yeah.
who's at 841. So Tortorella became the 7th coach and the first-born U.S. coach to reach 1,600 games in NHL history.
Wow.
He won the Stanley Cup with the Lightnings back in 2004, and he's a 2-time winner of the Jack Adams Award as an NHL coach in 2004 and 2017. And at 66 years old, he is was the oldest active coach in the NHL. He's been around and seen some stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Breer did say that, Torts is a complicated man and he's a complicated coach, but he's a blast to work with. And it's because he challenges you. He said, I truly believe that he made me a better GM and I loved working with him. And I think he loved working with me. He's not a yes man. He has his opinions and he's earned the right to share those opinions. And we listen to him. But again, myself and Keith Jones, who's the Flyers governor, Dan Hafferty, we felt at this time that it was time to move in a different direction. So a lot of history there, a lot of hockey knowledge, a lot of respect amongst the community. But I do agree the way you talk and address players, you got to kind of work on that because
Absolutely.
28 years ago, social media didn't exist. It wasn't a thing where, you
Yeah.
talk shit about a player and it gets to maybe 4 or 5 other people. Now you
Right.
say it and you just went viral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And perception is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah.
And with
So-
all
Right.
the stuff that we've been seeing in the NHL with stuff that's happening behind closed doors and things that have happened in the past and are no longer acceptable, I think we can put this on the shelf with that.
So you
Mhm.
got to also remember the time frame in which Danny Briere was playing for the Flyers. He played from 07-08 to 2012-2013 when that team was pretty fucking good. Like
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
bring in someone who played for your franchise at some of their biggest success points, and then, well, again, I don't think I need to list off Danny Briere's stat line because most of us here know Danny Briere was a great player. And he's coming in as a new GM wanting to make something happen. And this is not a slap at Torts because, again, he's a great coach, but you get to a point where you've spent the past 2 seasons just running your mouth and saying all this stupid shit about your players. And eventually, first off, a coach should never be getting into a verbal altercation with a player ever. That's just not acceptable.
Right.
Like,
Not anymore. Like
Yeah.
again,
No.
to Maul's point,
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah, you could do that
like, that
30
should happen
years
all the
ago,
time.
20 years ago, but you
Yeah.
can't do that now. And the fact of the matter is when you have 3 different goaltenders on your team that are averaging 3+ goals a game, there's something very wrong that isn't being addressed. And
Right.
it
Yeah.
might
Right.
it might very well not be Torts' fault. But you have to start somewhere. The coach is the easiest thing to change right off the bat. You can't just
Yeah.
trade everyone away as much as you want to. It's not
You
always as
can't.
simple as my GM mode and fucking, NHL 25. Trust me,
Yeah.
I know. I've done it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Once or twice?
I feel like Dee was onto something earlier in the year when she said she didn't think Torts was going to last the full season this year. And honestly, I expected him to at least make it, but few weeks left in the season, they're like, you know what, we're just gonna call it here. And the Flyers, that team deserves better than what they've had the past 2 years. Those fans deserve a better team on the ice. And
Yeah.
maybe this is the right step in the right direction, but
I think, yeah, I was 0% surprised that this came down. I was only surprised it didn't happen sooner. I'm
Yeah.
thinking after 4 Nations, I was surprised that this didn't happen. But I think that they genuinely wanted to give him the honor of finishing out the season, and then it just clearly wasn't working. And when he very publicly stated, I'm not interested in figuring out how to fix it for this year, like that's a next year problem kind of a thing. I think then at that point, the GM knows kind of what has to be done. I think also, again, Torts has come under fire in recent years as well because he benched players that did the Michigan on the ice. He was like, that's bullshit tricks and has no place in professional ice hockey. And the truth of it is that whether or not the Michigan is here to stay or not, it's still something that fans want to see. It brings people into the sport. And so to then punish a player for doing that is going to turn people off. And as
See,
a
and that's
GM, there
frustrating
is
because-
a business decision there too. Like
Yeah.
not just in the wins losses column, but also in and fan engagement.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating that you would do something like that for the Michigan, because to me, the Michigan is just as cool as watching players score by tipping the puck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yes, back in the day, hockey was all about slap shots and, going for backhanded passes, and, you would shoot at the goal, but it's evolved past that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the
And it's
sport,
like,
the
Yeah.
players have way more talent now. And I mean, look at Anaheim is the perfect example because Trevor Zegras has scored what, 4 or 5 Michigan goals in his career. You just
Mhm.
saw one
Yeah.
like last week or 2 weeks ago in the PWHL. Like
Yeah.
the sport has to evolve because players are getting, the talent level is growing higher and higher and higher. Like
Right.
Well, just
trick shots like that, like Dee was saying, that brings in viewers because they're like,
Yeah.
holy crap. I mean, Chris, look at the friggin' look at the thing I sent you the other day about the Vegas Knight that was able to just like do a 360 immediately on
Yeah.
his skates and
Yeah.
like snap someone's ankles. I was like,
Yeah.
people up here breaking ankles in hockey now, like this is great.
Yeah, it's like basketball now. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. Or, I
Don't
mean, in
penalize
lacrosse, we saw
people.
the same thing with behind the back passes. That would never have
Yes.
happened 20 fucking years ago.
Oh no.
But now it happens all the
Right.
time and it goes viral every time
because
because
nuts.
it brings people in because it's fucking sick.
BTB goals, BTB passes.
Yeah.
Like was it recently a team in the National Lacrosse League, a team won in overtime with a behind the back goal. Just the nastiest shit I've ever seen. So like you want that sort of flashy skill to be prevalent in the league, otherwise we're baseball. And I love baseball, but
I can understand where it's something where someone's trying to do it like all the fucking time and it's never successful. They're not good at it. It's a skill they haven't developed yet. But
Right.
also having said that, like this is professional sports. You give them room to develop it because if that is a skill that they can master, it makes them more of a threat behind the cage
These are the best players in the
than
world.
anywhere else on the ice. You know what I mean? And that is going to
Yeah.
make you more of a threat as a team. So I think that there's some aspects of Tort's game where, yes, absolutely, he's earned some respect for, the wins he's had, the cups he's earned. But I think that there comes a time, that old adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Absolutely.
I think Tort is very much of that mindset that you can't do that. And so maybe it's time that he becomes a GM or something else and is in some other way involved with the game if he's not going to be there for the progression of the sport. Then he just
Right.
has to be involved elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at.
I agree.
I'm shocked that it happened before the end of the season was kind of my shock.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one that called it, that it was going to happen during the season. And I think everyone was like, well, Maul, you weren't here yet. But I think that Danger and Chris, you were both like, I don't think so. I think he finishes it out. I think that it's Philly. They respect him.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
no.
I did think that they had more respect for him than what they've proven to have. But I think he just finally pushed all of the limits and B wasn't getting the results that he once was for them.
That's
And
I
when
feel
you're
like I agree.
pushing limits and not giving them numbers,
And with the
Something's gotta give.
streak of losses that they've had, I think that was it. It was the
Mhm.
camel's back was getting pretty overloaded, and that was
Yep.
what took it out.
yeah,
Because now it's
Very
like
much
you
so.
can't, how can he argue that? It's like, dude, we've lost 11 games out of the last 12.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
At what point did he already have his office packed waiting for the news? You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
Oh, yeah.
that's the sport. The sport is if you don't perform, you get walked out.
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
what have you done for me lately? And guess what you've done? Fuck all. So
Yeah.
maybe this is the start of a
Yep.
turnaround. Again, there's a lot of talent on that fucking Philadelphia Flyers team. The fact you had 7 players over 30 points is saying, hey, there's something there we could do. But
Yes.
I mean, Nick Seeler has
mean,
somehow had a
just-
pretty solid season. I only know this because he's on my fantasy team, but like again, that's a solid, solid player that has not been up to standards of, what I think most of us think that someone like that should be at. So maybe a fresh face is the best thing, and we'll see. But I don't know. Maybe Torts will go somewhere else. Maybe he won't. We will all find
Yeah.
out for sure.
Yeah.
It just is such
Danger.
an awkward time because he's been one hell of an April Fool's meme today.
Yeah.
I think we've all can attest that we've seen him get recruited to every single NHL team except obviously the Flyers. But
Yeah.
Or the Wild.
yeah, he's
I didn't see it at least.
he's traveling around. All right, he's
Yeah.
got some offers out there. We'll see where he goes.
Yeah.
No, big facts. Danger. There was
Yes.
there was another NHL record broken this past week.
There was, and it wasn't Ovechkin yet.
It wasn't over this
Um,
time.
Yeah.
Yet. But it's another person that won't shock us, right? It's Sidney Crosby. He has already broken a different Gretzky record, but this one was for 20 straight point per game seasons, and he now leads the NHL. And that is a mouthful to say, to say the least. But for funsies, I wanted to look up what records he does hold. Starting with just Pittsburgh Penguin records, right? So he has the most assists and points in a season by a rookie with 63 assists and 102 points. Most regular season overtime goals. Most games played. Most playoff points. Most playoff assists. Most playoff games. Most points in the Stanley Cup Finals. Most playoff multi-point games. Just for the Penguins, right? For the NHL, he already holds the first rookie to record 100 points and 100 penalty minutes in a season. Youngest player to record 100 points in a season at 18 years, 253 days. Thanks, Wikipedia. Youngest player to record 200 career points at 19 years and 207 days. Thanks, Wikipedia. Youngest player to record 2 consecutive 100-point seasons at 19 years, 215 days. Again, thanks. Youngest player voted to the starting lineup in an All-Star game. Youngest Art Ross Trophy and Lester B. Pearson Award winner. Youngest player to be named to the first NHL All-Star team. Well, it just says first All-Star team, I guess. Youngest player to lead the NHL playoffs in scoring at 20 years, 9 months, and 28 days. Why that one got months and days versus just days, I don't know. Youngest NHL captain to win the Stanley Cup at 21 years, 10 months, and 5 days. 6th player in NHL history to win multiple Conn Smythe trophies. Fewest games played by an NHL team's leading scorer. His 66 points in 41 games were the most of any player on the 2010 to 2011 Penguins squad. So that does not, include this newest one. But that is insane.
Yeah.
And I think of Sid, he's a year younger than I am, right? So I think of him as a kid still, but he's really not. I mean, he's a veteran of the league.
Yeah.
He's 37.
Yeah.
Got drafted at 18 by the Penguins, and he's been playing since 2006.
Yeah.
That's 2 years after I graduated high school. It's just insane.
I mean, he's been a prodigy his whole life, though.
His whole life.
Yeah.
It's
and he's a likable guy. I hate him because he's so likable, right? And he's so damn good. And he didn't play for a Minnesota team. And he's my age. And I remember really when he came about, because I remember when he got drafted, right? And
yeah.
I felt like he was a little bit too full of himself. But thinking about his kind of onboarding into the NHL compared to 20 years later almost with Connor Bedard, you almost can't compare the two because,
it's such
he got
a different time
to the Penguins and Connor got the Blackhawks. But
Yikes.
yeah. Oh, and he was the first overall pick in the 2005 NHL draft. Like,
Yeah, and I mean the
not
biggest.
only going first.
It also doesn't help. You got to think, like, look at the time when Crosby was drafted. I mean, the year before, the Penguins had drafted Fleury. They had drafted Malkin.
Yeah.
Like, they were already
Mhm.
building a team when
Yeah.
Sid got there.
Around these guys. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whereas
And the sad thing
Bedard's the
is they're
kind
going
of
to have to do
starting
it again
base. Yeah,
when these guys all retire because
but again,
they've had
yeah.
that legacy team, right?
But
for
look at
the
players
20
like
years.
Crosby, look at players like Ovi, players that have played for one team their entire career. Like,
Mhm.
you can
Marchand.
talk until the cows come home on like, oh well, Crosby's this and Ovi's better at this and that. It is, but when you look at these two players, like we talk about, they saved the fucking sport. And if these two were not inducted into the
To an
Hall of
extent.
Fame together, it's a goddamn travesty. Because
Oh,
it'll
they
absolutely
have to be,
happen.
right? Like,
Crosby's top
if they
5 best
don't,
all time.
the NHL
Has to
fucked
be.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way it doesn't happen is that they don't retire at the same time. We
Yeah,
have to
'cause then
keep
they
that
won't
in
be
mind
eligible.
too.
Then they
Right.
won't be
Because then they won't be
together.
eligible in the same in the same season. So, I mean, our only hope here is that Crosby and Ovi are texting each other, being like, "Hey, are you gonna retire tomorrow?"
Should we just wrap it up?
No. Okay. Fuck. I guess I'm still here.
Oh.
Their last
one more
game on the
season,
ice
I
together,
guess.
though. Their last
So-
game on the ice together is going to be the most magical
Dude.
fucking thing of all time. We
Yeah.
will all be weeping.
Oh, the video tributes that they're gonna have for 20 years worth of rivalry is gonna be insane.
Sobbing.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know this. At age 15, he transferred to Shattuck St. Mary's in Faribault, Minnesota to play hockey.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because normally they go to Ely, but Faribault arguably has a better school.
Can we just talk about how big this man's trophy wall must be?
It's
Oh
massive.
my god.
Like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
It's gotta have an entire room at this
The
point,
list,
right? Like,
yeah.
Do we think that he has one? Like, do we think that he's in there polishing it, or do we think that like they're kind
no,
of like
I think they
in a
have
collection
it, like,
somewhere,
in
and
some,
it's a room
yeah,
he doesn't go into?
I
Yeah,
truly
I think it's
that
like
every
at Penguin headquarters or in a room at the arena or, on loan to the Smithsonian at some point in the future. Like,
How much of that shit's at
Who
PPG Paints
knows?
Arena, you know?
Yeah.
I
Right,
can just
right.
imagine that, like, every time he has like a bad game or he gets called out on social media or he becomes a meme, he just goes into his trophy room and like polishes his trophy, like, shh, they don't know the real you.
I don't
They don't
know.
know
It's
how
okay,
cool you
Art.
are.
But again,
Yeah.
think about
Right.
who he was mentored by. He was mentored by, again, one of the greatest ever in Mario Lemieux, who also, not
Yeah.
only being a Penguins legend, is an NHL legend. And this is the guy
Right.
who mentored him as a young man.
Yeah.
And again, growing up in a house of a Penguins fan, I got to watch Sid's whole career. And it's
Yeah.
just mind-blowing to the list
Yeah.
of shit that you didn't list off that he's won.
Yeah, like I basically
it's so
skipped
big.
the shit that I couldn't pronounce or, was too
Yeah.
long to add, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then, not to mention, he's won 3 Stanley Cups with the Penguins. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's always impressive, especially in today's day and age, when a player plays their entire career with a franchise. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah. I mean,
but
he's got
I
81
think
points
today
this
it's a
season.
lot less common than it used to be.
Yeah, there's no loyalty. But I mean, when you because we had rumors throughout the past couple years, and Kyle Dubas has straight up said Crosby's not going anywhere. 73 games,
right.
27 goals, 54 assists, and a plus-minus of -23. Granted, the Penguins have their problems, but 81 fucking points for someone who's 37 years old.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Oh yeah, and his first
That also doesn't
season,
include
he
the
had
points that he got in
over
Four
100
Nations
points.
and how hard he played during that.
Oh, he
which
popped
was
the fuck
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so his first season, he had over 100 points.
Yeah, as a rookie, winning the
And I
Calder.
do remember this.
Just
People don't,
nuts.
I think, talk about it as often, because Gretzky was the great one, but Crosby was dubbed the next one.
Yes,
And
the
I
kid.
remember
that.
that, and I, like any hockey fan of the era, or ever, grew up idolizing Wayne Gretzky, right?
Mhm.
Got to see him play once or twice in my life.
Yeah.
Not old enough to really remember it, but
Pretty thankful I got to see him
I got
play
to see him
some, too.
coach several times.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, we
was
definitely got
very
to see
fun.
him coach.
Yeah.
That was a whole nother thing we won't get into.
Breaking down fucking
and I
glass
really
and
hope
shit.
that Sid, right? But I hope that he continues to have a long career within the NHL after he's no longer a player, right?
Facts.
Whether that
Yeah.
be coaching or in recruiting or, you know, helping the younger guys with their work-life balance. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's just an incredible person. And I saw this, but when he was in middle school, he was a straight A student on top of getting all of these
Yeah.
trophies and
Oh, he's
accolades
brilliant.
at 12, 13, 14 years old, you know? And there just also hasn't been that kind of hype for a guy like Sid was when we were coming up. I mean, I knew about him in high school. That's
Oh, yeah.
how good he was.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and yeah, he played for like a year in Minnesota, but I didn't know that until today, years old. So I think I remember it at some point in my life. But yeah, like I remember hearing about him, and he graduated like a year or two after me. You know, I mean, I wasn't like I was into hockey, but I was focused on college myself and, you know, not going to a shit ton of teams. So, or games, I should say. But yeah, so fucking way to go, Sid. Nobody's surprised that you broke another fucking record.
Mhm.
Thank you for being an amazing player and somebody that like I am proud to have my own son look up to. Because you really are, or at least for as far as everybody can tell, you're a stand-up guy. You're fun to watch on the ice. You know, you're respectable, and like I said, like he's just one of the guys that I can be like, okay, no, like here's a role model for my son to look at as an athlete, you know, if that's the road he wanted to go down. Or as a
Right.
human, you know.
I think that's a perfect segue to talk about the youth of the league. We've got a bunch of people coming in because of the NCAA tournament that has gone on. So, and it still continues to go on. Obviously, Maul and I are both very sad because fucking Penn State took out both Maine and UConn. So,
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Penn who, and now it's like, all
the
right, what they got
fuck?
going on in that? What they got in their water over there?
I know. Well,
Right.
so what we've seen over the past few days is a bunch of players signing entry-level deals. Obviously, if you look notably, the name, the younger brother of O1 Cale Makar, Taylor Makar, just signed a 1-year entry-level deal with the Colorado Avalanche. Ryan Leonard just signed an entry-level deal with the Caps, 2.85 for 3 years. Which is pretty badass. Damian Carfana just signed a 2-year entry level with Edmonton. Gabe Perreault just signed 3-year entry with the Rangers. Capitals also signed Spencer Smallman to a 2-year, $1.5 million contract extension. And UConn goaltender Callum Tung just signed a 3-year entry level deal with the New York Rangers. And I think Maul has our question of the week this week.
Which conveniently, almost like it was planned, ties into all of the fresh blood that we're getting into the NHL next year. So, we've seen a lot of very notable entry level sign-ins this past week. Do we think that this will make those teams more competitive for the cup, or is just in depth for next year? I'll start with D,
Well,
since you're coming back from vacation.
yeah, put me in the
Yeah,
hot
make
seat.
it work hard.
Absolutely. As someone who has one of these players that is currently playing tonight in Ryan Leonard, he has been assigned jersey number 9, which I think is very funny. considering who number 8 is. It's almost like they're trying to prophesy something. Anyway, as much as I think Ryan Leonard is a force, clearly what we've seen him do for his team in Boston is just incredible. But I don't think that he is going to be the key to a cup win. I don't think that any of these, I don't think Taylor McCarr is. I don't think, who else started this week? Jimmy Snuggerud. Jimmy, let me know how to say your name, man.
I just saw
Sounds
his name.
fucking great.
And I was
Snuggerud?
going to bring him up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Snuggerud. Yeah.
Is it Snuggerud?
Snuggerud.
Yeah.
Hold on,
It's
I'll
either
Google it.
Snuggerud or Snuggerud.
As a
One
girl
of the
who
two,
had
Jimmy,
cat named
hit me up.
Snuggles, that I named when I was like 6,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah. He signed with St. Louis on the 28th.
Yeah.
3-year
and
entry level.
debuts tonight, I think.
I think so. I don't think that any of these guys are going to be what gets people over the finish line. I think that I think it's great. I think we're going to see them build. And it's going to be depth for next year. I think you get him a couple passes in these next 9 games. And then I think just realistically, we're going to see a lot of these folks assigned to AHL teams for the cup run. They're going to be there to be backup if needed. But I don't think, again, even with Leonard, as much as I would love to, shout him out, I don't think we see him doing much on the ice, especially not as we get into the later cup games where what you need out there is experience. Mm-hmm. And they just don't have it at the NHL level yet.
Yeah.
Well, and I completely agree with that because we did see that last year. There were players that got picked up during the NCAA tournament and they played a couple games and then they were immediately kicked to the AHL and they've been there ever since. So,
right.
What, do you expect it to continue? I think it's cool and it's a great experience for them. And I hope that they do get to stay in the NHL. But, I do agree with you. I do think that this is kind of a shitter get off the pot moment. It's like, hey, show up, play a couple games and impress the hell out of us, or sorry, you're going on the back burner and then you're gonna have to fight your way back to the top,
Right.
Well, it can be looked at like that, or it can be looked at as, hey, you have a chance to play a couple games in the NHL, get your feet wet. No, I'm gonna say what I wanted to say. Get your dick wet a little bit.
Well, what do you think?
And then go develop in the AHL teams. Really hone in on your skills. It's almost like not even getting their dick wet. It's like getting the fans' dick wet for them, right? Because you get to hear these names as they're just coming off of minor, or high school or whatever. And the fans can get really excited for them. And then they can go and hone in on those skills. And then when they do get brought up permanently, because, these are guys that we're going to see flip-flop in the next few years as injuries happen and all of that. So they're names that are going to become household names for these teams.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
Chris, what do you think?
That, that's just, arguably one way to look at it.
I don't disagree with D or Danger. Realistically, when you look at the jump from high school to college, it's a pretty big jump, right? The sport, it's a very different sport. It's faster. For all the great hockey players in high school, half of them go on to play like college hockey.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going from college hockey to the NHL, it is like throwing a goldfish into a giant ocean of great white sharks. Like you are the highest level of the sport, and there are either two ways you're going to do it. You're either going to be like the McDavids, the Bedards, the Ovies, the Crosbys, the players that just take to it and go. Or you just aren't ready, and that's fine. That's what we have a minor league ladder for. And a lot of this is just a sense of a feel out process in a sense of what Danger said. A lot of it is just it's a gauging where your level of development is at and where it needs to be. I think rushing players like these who have had the immediate success in college is a dangerous thing to do because you could fuck up somebody's development, you could fuck up somebody's mentality through the game, and it just ruins it for them for the rest of their career. So I think the best
Right.
thing for these players to do, sure, like let them play a game or two at the end of the season, let them feel it out a little bit. You get that nice gauge of where they're at and where they need to be in their development, and then you send them down. And it's okay to be sent down. And I mean, look
Yeah.
at what we're going to look at next
Yeah.
year. I mean, with players that are in the CHL being eligible to go play college hockey next year with the NCAA, that's going to change everything. So,
Right.
why is my PC?
Yeah, I
like,
think you give
having
them a taste of
fucking
it
panic
now,
attack?
and then they're ready for tryouts in the fall. They know exactly what's going to be expected of them on that
Yeah.
NHL
Right.
ice, and they have. I don't know how many months that is from now. Fucking 5 months worth of time to get the work in
And it's
and to
okay
improve their
for them
game from
not to
wherever
be
it is at
ready.
college.
It's okay for
Right.
them to need that time to develop. That is what the minor league systems are there for.
And
And
they do
I
a
feel
great
like
job of it too,
they
mind
do.
you.
Yeah. Look how
Yeah.
many great players have come up from like all of our organizations that
Yeah,
have had
Ethan
these
Frank being
studs.
fucking
The
walk
most
on.
the
Yeah.
most recent, yeah.
Yeah.
And it says something to your talent that you are being signed before the draft. And a lot of these guys, I don't know if the NHL is a lot like the MLB where you can play college hockey when you're like after being drafted. I don't know if that's the thing. I know in baseball you can still be eligible for the NCAA while getting drafted, but like yeah, it's a big deal, and
Yes.
there's a lot of expectations. If you're not even if they're not even worried about drafting you, they're just gonna sign your ass.
Well, so with Ryan Leonard, we had drafted
I was
him,
to say, yeah, you guys did
but
draft
he
him,
did
right?
not sign a contract so that he could play at Boston College.
Yeah,
And so we've been waiting for 2 years for him to be like, all right, fine, I'll sign with you. All right,
Hey,
it's
good for
fine.
him to be able to be like, you know what? I'm gonna wait.
He told us
Hold on.
last year, he was like, I'm going to finish out with my team and like,
Respectable,
sorry
you
about
know?
it. And we were like, all right, bro. I respect it. That's fine.
and it's
Now, I do
Oh.
want to point out that Chris did say Great White Sharks and not San Jose Sharks because they're the bottom of the NHL.
not only that.
Yeah.
Fuck the San Jose Sharks. No, I'm kidding.
Well, remember, it's just the one.
It's just single shark named Jose.
It's just the single
Just
shark
a
named
single
Jose.
shark named Jose.
Jose. So no,
But
I completely agree, and I do think that it's exciting for them to get picked up because college hockey season isn't over. It is
Mhm.
going to give them valuable experience, and it's going to give them a one up, kind of a leg up when they do go for tryouts next year. But I think it is going to be it's good. It's good for them developmentally because it gets the nerves out of
Mhm.
your rookie lap and playing in the big leagues. Get it out now when either you're not going to make or break the
yeah,
team's
Right.
record. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the teams are pretty set where they are. You going out and playing
I
4 or 5
think this.
minutes ain't gonna make or break the game unless
Right.
you could go out and do good, but
Eat shit.
it's like that's
do
like a 1% of a
drop
1%.
4 goals in
Um,
their first game like Austin Matthews.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
Right.
I'm saying is like, but that's such a 1% of a 1%. But I do think it's important because it gets those
Yeah.
nerves and it eliminates those because
Right.
you go from a college arena to an NHL arena and the difference of fans. Oh, I don't even know how these kids can stay on their skates. I'd be
It's the
shaking out of my
Yeah.
skates.
it's the premier level of hockey in the world. Like
Yeah, yeah.
there are
So
amazing pro leagues all over the world, but the NHL is the pinnacle. This it's where the best players in the world go. And out
Yeah.
of the handful of people that make it to college hockey, a smaller handful get drafted. So like it's an amazing thing, but the first step is you made it. Congratulations. All of you made it. That's a huge step. Now your next
you
step
proved
is
all your
to get
teachers wrong.
better.
You did what you did,
Yeah.
and you're there.
Now your goal is to get better. And the only way you could do that is, yes, like Maul said, get that taste, get that nervousness out of your head.
Mhm.
Go play your first game, because after that, you've been there before. You know it. You know what to expect.
Yeah.
The only thing you
Yeah.
don't know is the playoffs, and playing in that's a whole that comes with experience. But
Yep.
I don't think anyone should be expecting anything mind-blowingly amazing out of these players to start, because that's
Right.
that's unfair. That's super
Yeah.
unfair to do.
And I mean, you think about it. They're going to get the nerves taken care of. They're going to get that gone. And then the only other obstacle that is massively different than college hockey that they're going to have an obstacle for them to overcome is the travel.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once they get the travel and kind of figured out, that's a huge hurdle, because in college you don't get to travel that much because you still have to be a student.
Yeah.
You
Right.
still have to show up to class Monday morning. That is an obligation that is more important than your college hockey
Yeah.
career. You do have to still get the education.
Right.
Now that is no longer something that you can rely on to save you from traveling for ridiculous amounts of time. And congratulations, you're about to spend the next 3 months on the road.
Yeah. Guess what? You just got a motherfucking job. So
Yep. Yep.
welcome to
You
the
have a
workforce.
roommate.
You're
Hopefully it's
employed.
not Flurry and you're not going to get weird
Right.
shit happen to you with his pranks. But,
It's gonna
But it's
fill
gonna
your
make
fucking.
some great fucking stories.
It's gonna fill your
but
shoes with fucking like beta fish.
Oh,
mayonnaise.
We're already
Mayonnaise.
seeing great stories come out of it because, first of all, the Washington Capitals announced Ryan Leonard as a teammate before he had even actually signed the paperwork. Like you can see in the
Yeah.
screenshots
Right.
behind him, there's a TV that says he signed it at 12:04, and Caps tweeted out at like 11:59. They're like,
Yeah.
Ryan Leonard, he's coming over here. And then while he's signing it, he's in the locker room with his teammates. He gets a text from Alex Ovechkin being like, "Hey, bro, we're gonna be in town tomorrow. You want to go out for sushi? This is Alex Ovechkin, by the way." And his teammates were like, "Dude, that's not Alex Ovechkin. Like, that's a scam. You should delete it." And Ryan's like, "No, I think this is really him, and I think I have to answer it." And it was
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
Alex
it
Ovechkin,
was.
and they took the entire team went out with him for sushi. And then Ovechkin was
That's
like, "I
so
want to see the
cool.
campus. Can you show me the campus? Like, what's
Can you
college campus
imagine
like?"
just getting a
So
random text message and
Ryan
you're like,
Leonard, yeah, Ryan
kind of
Leonard
scam is
shows
this?
Alex Ovechkin around the campus there. And then they went to another bar where they sang Jacob Chikrin's new goal song, Bands That Make Her Dance,
Yeah.
because that's now a thing. Like, they just had a wild fucking night before Leonard makes his first appearance. Like, it's, I mean, we're already getting these really
Well,
cool
yeah.
moments coming out of these signings where, like, literal children, because some of these people are like 18, still kind of children, are getting to meet their heroes. And it's not just Alex Ovechkin, it's on
Yeah.
any team where these signings happen. And so it's just
Well,
really cool.
And so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Tonight is his first game in Boston, right?
Correct.
How freaking cool to go from Boston College to the Washington Capitals, but have your first game at Boston.
In TD
Yeah.
Garden, yeah.
That's
In TD
freaking
Garden.
like,
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
like granted, like
And-
he's been there to play before because
But
you
it's-
know they're
it's
there
different.
every year.
It's different.
But
Yeah.
now you're doing it with the Washington Capitals.
And
Yeah,
you
you're
got
doing
to
it
see the
professionally.
goal
The fuck?
that
That's
Alex
so
Ovechkin
cool.
scored to put him within 4 of breaking Gretzky's record because Ovechkin just netted one.
Oh,
Hopefully they beat the
nice.
Bruins. Fuck the
So I mean,
Yeah.
you get to say the first time you stepped on ice was like with another milestone moment for Alex Ovechkin. How cool is that?
well, I think it is time to switch gears and send it over to Danger for our naughty boys and hurt boys, as always.
Yes. And only one naughty boy this week,
Yeah.
but it is kind of well, we'll talk about it. Nico Mikkola was fined the maximum allowed by the CBA of $5,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct after he took a slap shot across the ice in the final seconds of a game against the Montreal Canadiens, despite the Panthers being down 4-2. TSN hockey analyst Martin Byron criticized the shot, comparing it to a basketball field goal, calling it stupid, dangerous, and reckless. Which I agree. Like, it was unnecessary by far. He did it to
Yeah.
piss him off.
Yeah.
He was given a minor penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct and a 10-minute game misconduct. Although there was no time left for him to serve either penalty.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Canadians and their fans were displeased with the shot. It almost hit several of the players, and it was a hard shot.
It was
Like, I watched
he
the
ripped
video.
it. He
Yeah.
ripped
It was a hard ass shot. Obviously, as with every time this happens, because it's not the first time and it won't be the last time, it's gained or garnered mixed reactions. Some fans saying that if it's legally allowed, take the shot. He should have been able to do so. I mean, it wasn't quite icing because he was across the first blue line. I believe.
No, he was not.
He wasn't? Okay.
No.
Mm-mm.
I like literally watched it in like the 10-second little clip. So
Yeah, he was not.
okay. So it was icing. So it's not a legal shot.
Mhm.
And he did it hard.
It was on net. Like, he was
Yeah, it was
at least
it
on
was a
target.
good shot. You know, and then of course started the pushing and shoving and the, I'm sure, trash talk.
Those refs looked like WWE refs going up
Oh,
to
yeah,
break up
they
a
were,
huge
like,
fight. Like they
holding
got
them back.
paid. They got
And-
paid
and
that day.
the goalies wanted to get in on the action. They weren't quite trying to fight each other, but I think both of them kind of skated in, the Panthers goalie a little bit less. But it's an unnecessary thing to do. Like, you're down by 2.
Mhm.
If you're down by 1, yeah, take the shot. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still icing, but take the shot. But to take a slap shot from that far away, when we've seen slap shots break legs or arms or
Oh, all the
hands
time.
this close to playoffs,
Yeah.
it's just not necessary. And I get that he's probably irritated. Because I think in that game, was that the game that Tkachuk got hurt again in? Or was
I
that
don't
the
know.
other
I don't
Tkachuk?
remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it was unnecessary. The dude was in his own defensive end. He ripped one. There was a ton of people in between him and the goalie. There was not a ton. There's at least 2 players that were in between, and it
Yeah.
could have been very dangerous. And also, again, you were down. There was no way that taking a shot with a goalie in net was going to go in from that distance.
Right.
Like, these goalies have a way better reaction time than that. So
Yeah,
at that point,
yeah.
you're just like slapping it out of the way, which is the same thing as like, you know, we see it in football where they get in trouble for spiking the ball afterwards or things like that because it's an unnecessary thing. Like, instead
Right.
of giving it to the
Right.
officials who spike it at them, it's basically like that. So
Yeah.
I think the maximum
or
allowable
like
is
talking
crazy.
about the basketball
yeah,
field goal. Yeah.
right.
I
And I
think
get being frustrated, but do what everyone else does and break your stick.
Yeah.
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 100%.
Yeah.
Hit the goalpost with it. Hit the boards with it. Do what what's his face did last week and try to break it in the door. To the
Yeah.
bench. Break your damn stick.
Yeah.
God knows they
Yeah.
break easy.
Or again,
Just don't hurt-
even if
don't
you want to
hurt
get
other
in a
people.
pushing and shoving match
Yeah.
with another player, I
Right.
could fucking care less at that point.
Just
Do some
don't hurt
trash
anyone else.
talking. You know, I've talked about one of my favorite things with Kirill being at a game and being able to read his lips and him calling somebody on another team, I don't even remember who it was, a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, "What?" And he goes, "You're a fucking pussy." Like, clear as day. I
Right.
loved it at that moment. Because as a fan, I'm like, oh, good to see, his English is coming in nicely. But,
Right.
He's not
Like,
endangering
that
Somebody's
anybody.
been
kind of stuff.
practicing.
right. You're learning the good words, my dude. But yeah, like, this thing that could have caused serious injuries,
And Mikkola knows
And
better.
was
It's not like
just-
he's a fucking rookie. He knows better.
he knows better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he's
good on the
20.
NHL for responding appropriately to it because
Yeah,
yes, it was at the end of the
and-
game, but you know what? You
and-
still got the penalties. You still have that as a blemish on your career, and you know what?
And I think this season and even last season, we have seen them using situations like that to take the opportunity to kind of say, okay, no, we're going to have a stronger stance on this. And throwing the maximum allowable at the player
Right.
instead of just, kind of slap on the wrist thing. Because,
Right.
as much as we can disagree with it, they are doing certain things to try to encourage the less dangerous plays and plays out of anger that then turn into dangerous plays for other players that frequently cause injury,
Right.
And on that note, let's go into injuries. For Anaheim, we have Troy Terry, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. Jacob Truba, sorry, there's no L in there. Lower body, listed as day-to-day. Ross Johnston, upper body, expected to be out until September 15th. Robbie Fabry, hand, also out till September 15th. Ross isn't yet listed as being on IR. I don't know why.
They're both shut down for the
but
year,
I'm sure
though.
he will be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For Boston, we have Mark Kastelik, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 8th. And that's the only new one. For Buffalo, we have Jordan Greenway with that lower body injury, now expected to be out until at least April 5th. Josh Norris, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least April 6th. For Calgary, we have Connor Zary with a knee injury, expected to be out until at least April 5th. And that's it. For Carolina, we have Jordan Stahl with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least April 4th. That's it for Carolina. For Chicago, we have Colton Dock with an elbow injury, expected to be out until at least April 4th. Alec Martinez with a hip injury, listed as day-to-day. Jason Dickinson with a wrist injury, out for the season. Not on IR. For Colorado, we have Joel Kivaranta? Sure. Lower body, listed as day-to-day. Josh Manson, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 8th. And that's it. For Columbus, just Kevin LeBlanc still, who's out for the season. For Dallas, Sam Steele, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. And that's it. For Detroit, we have Peter Mrazek, head injury, expected to be out until at least April 8th. Elmer Soderblom, great name.
Great.
I feel like he should be 100 years old with Elmer as a name. Anyway,
Elmer.
He has got an undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least April 4th. For Edmonton, we have Connor McDavid on the list yet again with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least April 7th. Stuart Skinner with a head injury, expected to be out until at least April 7th. John Klingberg, lower body, expected to be out until at least April 7th. Matthias Ekholm, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. And Alec Regula, the knee injury, out for the rest. For Florida, we have Dmitry Kulikov, former Wild pick, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least April 8th. For the Kings, we have Tanner Jeannot, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Alex Turcotte, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Alex Lafayette, illness, listed as day-to-day. For the Minnesota Wild, we have Declan Chisholm, lower body, listed as day-to-day. And then Eriksson Ek, still on IR, it could be back around the 6th. Fingers crossed. Nobody new or updates for Montreal. For Nashville, we have Jonathan Marchessault.
Marchessault.
Anyway, Jonathan is out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Colton Sissons. There's the burp I thought was coming a second ago. Lower body, expected to be out until at least April 8th. For New Jersey, Cody Glass. Lower body, expected to be out until at least April 5th. For the Islanders, Matthew Barzal, kneecap, on IR, expected to be out until at least April 7th. For the Rangers, we have Matt Rempe, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 5th. Maybe he should just stay out. For Ottawa, we have Nick Cousins with a knee injury on IR, now expected to be out until at least April 17th. And Brady Tkachuk, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. For Philadelphia, we have Rasmus Ristolainen, upper body, expected to be out the rest of the season. That one hurts.
Mhm.
I don't think they were going to make the playoffs, so I don't remember.
No.
No.
I didn't think
Not even close.
they were in that. Yeah. So, still sad, but not that sad. For Pittsburgh, we have Evgeny Malkin, upper body, listed as day-to-day. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, upper body, on IR, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Why didn't I try? Bakandi Imama,
Close.
that biceps injury. He's out the rest of the season. September 21st, even.
Mm.
So later than like the 14th, 15th, that most of the time they throw. And then Tommy Novak, lower body, expected to be out until at least April 17th. For San Jose, we have Jimmy Schultz, lower body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Henry Thurn, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Vincent Descharnay, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. For St. Louis, nobody knew. For Tampa Bay, Luke Glendening, personal, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Hold on. Are we on baby watch? Let's see. Yes, we are on baby watch for him as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
So congratulations. I thought that said the sentence is will be with his wife for the birth of their baby, and then the next sentence below it, Glendening has 4 goals. My brain said they're expecting their 4th baby.
That'd be
I was
crazy.
like, oh wow. That's not what it is. Anyway, my brain is tired, guys. For Toronto, we have Yanni Hakanpää with that knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least April 17th. Same goes for Max Pacioretty with that undisclosed injury. For Utah, we have Olli Mata.
Holy Mata.
Sure. Lower body listed as day-to-day. For Vancouver, we have Elias Pettersson, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least April 8th. Philip Chittle, concussion, expected to be out until at least April 16th. Niles Hoglander, undisclosed, day-to-day. For Vegas, we have Ilya Samsonov, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Alex Pietrangelo, lower body, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Tomas Hertl, shoulder, expected to be out until at least April 8th. For Washington, we have Matt Roy, or Wah. I can never remember.
Roy. That
Okay,
one's
it's
Roy.
Okay.
He is not on baby watch. He is having family
Oh.
issues.
Mm.
Undisclosed
Oh.
family issues, unfortunately. So
Okay.
probably not good ones.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Usually,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that means a death in the family or, long-term
Someone's
illness.
sick.
Yeah.
Or it could be something completely different. But thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
Yeah.
Sonny Milano update. Upper body on IR, now expected to be out until at least April 17th. So maybe we'll see him for playoffs. Maybe, possibly.
We'll see.
It is yet to be seen. And lastly, for Winnipeg, we have Luke Shen, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. Eric Comrie, personal, expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Let me check if that one's a baby watch too. He was on the ice for morning skate, which indicates he might be back up to Connor Hellebuck tonight. But he was reported to have stayed in Winnipeg while awaiting the birth of his child.
Woo,
Seemingly
we got more babies.
be available Tuesday after joining the team on the ice.
Baby.
So they maybe had the baby, maybe did not have the baby. We don't yet. But congratulations to Eric and his wife or partner or whomever is having the baby with him. A llama.
Surprise, it's Eric.
Eric is having the baby.
Eric's having
Good
a
for
baby.
Eric.
Eric's
Then
having a
it's
baby.
fucking impressive that you've played this far into the season. Well,
He didn't play.
Rasmus Kupari has a concussion. He is expected to be out until at least April 3rd. Neil Pioink, lower body, expected to be out until at least April 5th. And Gabriel Velarde, upper body, expected to be out until at least April 7th. And that's what we have for injuries.
Well, all right. Thank you. I did find it crazy that there are 2 goaltenders on the injured list with head injuries.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Also, I keep seeing Liam O'Brien's name still injured on the Utah Hockey Club list, and it makes me sad that we don't get to see Spicy Tuna on the ice. Has the best nickname out of fucking
Spicy
anyone.
Utah.
hands
That's the
down.
best way to introduce yourself. Yeah.
I'm Liam O'Brien. I'm Liam O'Brien. You can call me Spicy Tuna. What a fucking icon.
Amazing.
So I think that brings us into first round of playoffs for the Fantasy Hockey League. It went well for some of us, and it didn't go as planned for some of us as well. In the consolation bracket, or ladder, I'm sorry, I'll say it right. Maul got the win over Danger. Dave got the win over Matt, and John beat Marcello. In the winner's bracket, the semifinals, unfortunately, Dee's run to the championship has ended.
Yeah.
She lost to Drew 133 to 129.
Mm-hmm.
And my road was real easy because I won by 64 points over Wes. I won 154 to 90. I felt a little bad.
As you should.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. I did.
No,
I
you
didn't want to
didn't.
whip his ass that bad. That I
No,
did
you
feel bad.
didn't.
I love Wes. Come on. I love Wes.
We all love Wes. You didn't feel bad.
Oh, I did. For sure. Agree to disagree, Maul. You're not in my head, you son of a bitch. No, I'm kidding.
No, but I'm in your DMs.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's
tell your
some
wife.
spicy tuna.
Don't
Right
tell your
there.
wife.
That's the spicy tuna.
Yeah.
He knows.
We are in the final week of the Fantasy Hockey League. For 9th place, Danger has to try to beat her son for 9th place. For 7th
Shouldn't make the
place,
joke I was about to make anyway.
Maul versus Marcello. For 5th place, and you know what? I was really hard on him for most of the season, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Dave is playing John, and respect to Dave for doing as well as he did this season. The worst he could finish to 6th.
Mm-hmm.
The 3rd place game is between D and Wes, and the championship matchup between myself and Drew. I'm winning 12-3 right now. So
Well, there's that.
Yeah, there is that. Listen, I hope everyone had a good time this year. As like I said, I've been saying, I enjoyed this, and I think this was great for everyone who didn't get to play really ever, and who's just getting back into it. And that everyone should be proud of themselves for what they did this season, and hopefully everyone's looking forward to next season and improving. Remember, everyone here, that you get to keep one player on your team for the draft next year. So make sure that is designated after the season is over. I can't remember the exact date. I'll make sure I have it. I know that's my thing, is I have so many great players, but I'm probably just going to keep Austin Matthews because it's Austin fucking Matthews. So
That's fair.
we will see who wins next week. And yeah.
It would be absolutely fucking hilarious if, as much as you're up right now,
I
lose. comes down to the
I
wire
lose,
and you lose.
that would
I
be
would enjoy that.
crazy. That would be crazy. Honestly, and you know what? If that happens, respect to Drew. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, there's no other way to look at it.
No, absolutely not. All respect to Drew if he does beat me. His team's pretty solid,
Yeah.
so it's not like he's playing with a bunch of AHL players. You know,
Right.
he's actually got a shot. Why did you look like that? I didn't say your name.
You didn't have to, because I know exactly what you were referring to. And damn it, I was the 0.01% that gave him hope.
You're also
Okay.
playing for 7th place, so
You know what? I choose loyalty over victory.
you must not
Unlike
have
the
been a
Boston
competitive
Bruins.
kid.
Unlike the Boston Bruins, I'm not going to throw away talent.
Yeah.
I did
Fair.
trade him away, though. So,
But we did get your team better. So next year we'll have a better
Ugh.
plan for you. So
6th place, I'm coming for you.
And again, like I said, I feel like everyone learned this year what happens when you leave one person, everyone. So I imagine all the teams will be way
Yeah.
more equal next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have a trivia question this week. I will make sure next week to come up with a good one. But it is time to round out the show the way we always do with our obscure NHL Player of the Week.
Very nice. Nicely done.
This
love
week
it.
we
Nicely
have a
done.
player who you guys probably know because we talk about him a little bit, or we have talked about him this year. But that is Yanni Gourde, who is currently a forward for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He is
Oh,
our
I forgot
obscure.
about that.
Yeah.
I forgot that he got fucking traded.
Yeah, he did forget he got traded in the offseason or in the at the
Yeah.
deadline. He born in Saint Narcisse, Quebec, in 1991. He was undrafted in when he entered the league in 2008. He has played for 2 teams in his NHL career. He started with the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2015-2016, played up until 2021 there. Then he played the last 4 seasons with Seattle until obviously being traded back this season, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He has, so far in his career as of time of recording, 581 career games played, 132 goals, 201 assists, 438 penalty minutes, 83 career playoff games, 20 goals, 22 assists, 54 penalty minutes. He's also won 2 Stanley Cups and is the all-time leader in franchise penalty minutes for the Seattle Kraken with 238. Which is why I picked him. Is he obscure? No. But
No.
the rule of thumb is it has to be a team in which the player has to lead a team in penalty minutes. Well, Yanni
Right.
just happens to lead Seattle. Just wait until I pick Utah. It'll be like, oh, who's the points leader? For now, that. Or I'll just probably
Yeah.
go based off of Arizona Coyotes, which is probably Ty Domi. If we're being honest, it's either him or Biz.
Right.
But obviously, the season that Yanni is having currently is a pretty goddamn decent one, I would say. He has, if my page will load, 48 games played this year. Obviously, he's missed a bunch with injury. 6 goals, 19 assists, with a plus-minus of -2. So not the best for Yanni, but kind of hard to play when you're injured. So yeah, we have an update on what he's doing since he'll be playing tonight when when the Lightning play.
what he's doing since. That's
Yeah.
the funniest fucking thing.
What he's doing since is
Okay.
he's still
Great
playing
job,
pro.
Chris.
Yeah, thanks. Listen, I'm just doing my best
Yeah.
in reporting here. But that is my choice this week for NHL obscure NHL player of the week. So I think it is time for us to wrap this bad boy up. Thank you guys so much for watching and checking out. If you haven't already done it, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell that lets you know anytime we upload anything new. Make sure you're checking us out on TikTok. You're checking out our shorts. If you want to check us out on Spotify, that's badass. If you guys are listening anywhere else, make sure you leave us a review, comments. 5-star ratings would be awesome. If you don't feel like we've earned it, well, lie to us anyway.
Then give us 4
Make
and
us,
call it a day.
yeah, we'll shoot for 5, but accept 4.
Yeah.
That's
Anything less than a 4, you got to tell us why. Can't get better
Exactly.
without your feedback.
If you guys are still watching, in the comments below, please let us know what young player you are looking forward to most next season in the NHL, whether it be someone on your team, someone else on someone else's team. Let us know the prospect you're excited to see be the next face of a franchise. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap it up and call it?
Always be sure you're checking out our shorts and our TikToks for the exclusive content that you did not get to on the show.
There is a lot of shit that you don't actually see. Actually,
Mhm.
almost all of it is stuff you don't see here. Whether it's behind the scenes jokes and things we mess up with, or we have a whole ass separate topics that you get to see either here on the shorts or on TikTok. So make sure you're doing that. As I love to round this out, peace, love, puss suitor. And until next time, we will see you motherfuckers in the face-off circle.